whatever the solutions we have apply in a larger context to whether it is in India or to the global markets, right? We don't differentiate between what is available in India to what is available globally. But if I really look at what's driving the market, and then I will come down to the solutions and services that we do. But what's driving the market is the hybrid cloud engagement that is there. We know that, only 20% of the core applications are on the cloud. So one piece that is really, really very critical is the fact that hybrid cloud is critical to the engagement that we have, and IBM is focused on hybrid cloud. And the second part is the whole factor of the AI that is embedded now in any of the business processes or technology processes that are being driven. So we're talking about hybrid cloud and AI. Now, what does IBM have underneath it is obviously a set of solutions, right? Whether it is systems or whether it is what we call the cloud and cognitive. And when we talk about systems, all of you are familiar with the IBM Z to Linux One, and we've had some fabulous wins in the country on the Linux One. We have our Power, which is underlying platform for majority of the banking industry and the public sector, and our storage, right? Not to forget our storage, and that is a key from my infrastructure side. Now, when I get to the cloud and cognitive, converted our entire cloud and cognitive or software portfolio into containerization, and this is something that is very critical because you're talking about building applications which are for the future, right? And that's where our software comes in. And we have cloud packs hitting across our application, data and AI, to integration, to cloud pack for systems and cloud pack for security as well. So we cut across the segmentations of solutions. And that's where IBM's strength lies, is that we have a portfolio to address the needs of the clients. And then we have a very strong services side as well, whether it is our services, which is the GTS service, which helps clients move the applications to the cloud, to managing large infrastructure, to obviously our services in terms of application digital transformations that we take over for our clients. So obviously an end-to-end portfolio, which is very industry aligned, but very strong in terms of the breadth and depth of solutions and offerings that are very critical to enterprises. So that's what we have. Because you talked about engagements and existing customers, let me quickly give the strength that we have, and then I'll come down to the hybrid cloud and where are we focused in terms of our existing cloud customers, right? If I really look at our existing customers, right, and that's one thing that I do want to talk about is IBM's expertise lies in industries, right? We understand the enterprises. We understand what the industries need, whether it is telco, whether it is FSS, whether it is public sector, whether it is the oil and gas, industrial and distribution. So one thing that is key to IBM is our understanding of the industry. The second is the solutions that fit into that industry, right? The requirement as these organizations transform themselves, what type of solutions would be required to keep their business not only running, but ahead of the competition. So I'm going to look at competition from two fronts, right? What my clients are saying as competition and what we are seeing as competition. And when you look at solutions, right, solutions are made up of a number of, obviously, components, and that can be the software that is underlying to the infrastructure that is underlying, right? And that's where we are different again. We have our own solutions as well. We have our own portfolio of cloud and cognitive software, right? We have our infrastructure solutions as well. And when you say the cloud infrastructure solutions, we have our power, storage, and on top of it, you've heard of our mainframes, and I don't think anyone has not heard of our mainframes. So, right? So we are looking at infrastructure that is reliable. We are looking at infrastructure that is secure. We're looking at an infrastructure that is open. That is IBM. We're looking at solutions or softwares that are, again, open, containerized, reliable, secure. And we have security solutions to wrap the offering to our clients. And on top of that, like I said, we have solutions and which are very industry focused. So that's where the differentiator lies with reference to competition. Then we have a large ecosystem which takes our portfolio to the market. So one is we have the breadth and depth, industry depth, knowledge, and the breadth of offering. And then we have the entire piece of having our own public cloud to understanding that the clients need to move in a hybrid cloud engagement, right? No one is really, all our enterprise customers are using 5 or 6 or 7 different multi-cloud engagements, right? They have multi. But Are all the critical applications on the cloud? No. And that is where the key thing lies. The differentiator for IBM is that IBM understands the need to have solutions both on prem as well as on cloud, and that it's a journey that organizations are taking, and we are there to take them in that journey, whether it is through the hybrid cloud model or a pure play on the cloud model. And that's the strength that we have is a VR competition. And I would say for both IBM and our ecosystem, that's a shift that we had anticipated, right? But it's happened faster due to the pandemic situation. So yes, one is obviously clients are looking at more OpEx-based models, right? We do know that the need to deliver, deploy faster is happening, and organizations that were not looking at the cloud have also moved to the cloud because of the need to be there on the cloud, right? And therefore the public cloud engagement has definitely increased. And it all depends again which IT cycle various organizations or enterprises are, and therefore they'll take a leap of where they will be, right? So organizations that were thinking about the cloud have moved to the cloud, right? Organizations that were already on the cloud, right, are looking at what more can they move to the cloud, right? And that's where the hybrid cloud part comes of it, right? Is you need to look at which of my next set of applications do I want to move, which is in a situation, which applications are critical? How do I build applications that are moving towards a new technical architecture, business architecture as a need? Do I need to embed AI into the applications? And those are the things that are happening with the larger enterprises who have tested the hybrid cloud model, who have tested the AI, and now are ready to really look at the next set of applications that they can move to the cloud. So that's one area of things that is happening. But let's not also forget that as we move working from remote, the number of security incidents have also increased, right? And I think that's a critical aspect that we tend to forget, is the fact that all of us are working remotely. There is going to be a number of personal devices that get used for business-related activities. And therefore, the need to have secure work environments, whether it is from the mobile that you're using to the laptop you're using, to the applications that you're building and how are you embedding applications with the security, is a key factor as well. So data is exposed nowadays, the breaches are increasing. Data privacy is a critical factor when you're looking at moving things to the cloud as well, right? You have regulations happening. Therefore, the need to have security awareness among not only the customers, but the ecosystem that is delivering it is a very critical factor. So I would say is, yes, organizations are moving to the cloud. They are changing the way that they're working, but depending on which phase various organizations are, enterprises obviously are at the phase where they're now looking at what beyond the first set of workloads that they've moved to the cloud can they move? How do they really make them more containerized and applicable to move to multiple clouds at any point of time? To obviously SMB organizations which are looking at obviously the full benefit OpEx model that they can get out of the public cloud. So I would say that, but at the core is the security and the openness that you need from having applications there. So security, but the ability to be scalable and open. Organizations, a number of application developers are obviously building the cognitive layer into their applications. So yes, but unlike the hybrid cloud, which is like we said, 20% right now, applications have been moved. I would say right now the 4% is the consumption of AI that's going on. So there is definitely a long way for us to really use the full benefit of AI. But what we've seen is in the last few months is organizations started with a few key processes or businesses. It was like a POC or a small proof, a small, can I test it on this application? Will it give me the benefit that I'm looking at? And can I make a business justification of why it will deliver what we're expecting it to deliver? That has been done. I think it has been tested. And now we're looking at how do we really use the full-blown capability of AI in the multiple engagements in the enterprises that we're doing, whether it is in the BFSI or whether it is in the telco or in the manufacturing, because we're looking at things coming closer to the edge. We're looking at more processes being intuitive, right? And when we're saying intuitive, it means the AI is learning and therefore it is able to deliver more. So I would say yes, AI definitely is something that we're going to see a full-blown AI come in the coming a few years, but adoption has increased. I think one thing is, and as we entered the pandemic, right, one of the key focus for us was how do we ensure there is continuous service delivery for our clients? And I would say it's not only for IBM, but it is for the entire IT industry. And I know a number of our ecosystem partners had the same challenges. Is when the pandemic came in, it was not only looking at your own organization, right? You have SLAs to your own employees as well. So how does that get addressed? And a lot of us, the focus was that. But at the same time, how do you keep the lights on your clients with whom you have SLAs and who have businesses which need to deliver to a lot of other, I would say, organizations as well as employees as well as people. SLAs have not been impacted. But what's changed over a period of time, and as we get into the pandemic, is the new needs that have come in from the clients, right? This is a situation now none of us had ever imagined. The CIOs and the business owners are really relooking at what more would they need in future, right? So it's not impacting the SLAs of the earlier, but it's really making organizations look at what additional requirements would we have in our business to keep the lights on or keep the business growing, and how do I really get those SLAs to be delivered, right? And that's a key factor. And what type of technologies can deliver those, right? And that's where I will come back again to some of the technology questions that you had. In that factor of having infrastructure that is available, but remotely accessible, right? And therefore, the level of infrastructure management, does it get to the IT ops sides, right? The AI ops, right? How do you build in the AI into the IT operations? That's the other piece that IBM is really focused on, the AI ops side of it. So I would say, rather than saying how are the SLA affected, the SLAs were not impacted. It was looking at how is the reimagining of the SLAs happening as we move forward, right? Because of the business needs changing. Financial, I think it was a tough time for everyone. It's a tough time for organizations which have to pay, because in turn they have a supply chain that needs to, they have end customers which needs to pay. It's been tough. It's been tough. But I think the focus of the industry is to ensure that they're delivering services and therefore they're getting paid for it. So I think that's a fair and square way to say it. It's been tough in terms of payments and collections and payment terms. But I think overall the industry understands the need that payments are necessary to keep the lights on, because the service needs to be delivered. So I would say we've had our ups and downs, but overall a pretty tough cycle, but we're there. We're there. And I think the clients and partner ecosystem is facing the same from everywhere. So I can't really say it's any different from IBM in terms of financial collections or whatever you're referring to. When I look at as a service, one is as a service, as software as a service, which is available on the cloud. And that is one area of it. And there is a gradual engagement that's happening on the as a service model that's working out, depending on which solutions clients want on the cloud, and our partners are able to build capability or solutions around the SaaS modeling of certain things, right? That is as a service. And that's where I'm looking at software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. And I think it's a model that CIOs and CTOs are very comfortable with, because it takes you from a hybrid cloud model to a public cloud model, right? And I would say CIO, CTOs are pretty comfortable on that one. What they need to really look at is which applications would they want running on a cloud model or a SaaS model versus what would they want on a where they want licenses on-prem, or as we call it, in their own name, right? Prem licenses. The other piece of as a service is very key to our ecosystem is, are they able to build OpEx models around services that they can give, right? Which is, again, I will come back to your SLA model, right? Are they able to give infrastructure as a service? When I say infrastructure, are they able to say, okay, here is the number of devices. Can I manage so many devices for you, right? And that's looking at from a security side is can I do a security as a service for you, and which can again fall into multiple layers. Can I look at managing entire your devices that you have? Can I look at managing your servers remotely? Can I just run it as a service? So what you would have earlier as FM services where people would go on-prem, and how have they converted a lot of it to maybe 80% being as a service model remotely to only having a few engineers on site. And those are the various models that our partners have engaged on. Like I said, the mature partners are the ones who are obviously have been doing it, looked at digital transformation side of it, or looked at can I get into the AI ops, because their managed services was very mature. Quite a large set of our partners looked at two or three things. One is, can I look at cloud services, and that's hybrid or public cloud? Can I look at SaaS services? Can I look at transforming my business into as a service business? And the third is we had partners who were sometimes only doing just our systems business, not doing our software. And they realized the power of bringing the IBM portfolio together to give much more value to the end clients. And I think that's something that I really feel is something that's come out of the pandemic pretty well for our partners. Is they've leveraged the end-to-end IBM stack to give more to their clients, and that they're delivering as a service is something that I would say has really impacted the way that we will engage in future with our partners, and obviously their ability to deliver much more cohesive solution to the clients. We know the FSS or the financial sector has been moving, has been reinventing, has been deploying more technology. So yes, the FSS sector, the fintech is definitely the one that's been delivering and reinventing and using technologies. The entire banking industry is changing, and all of us know it. And because of that, the need for, and they're the ones who are accelerating the IT adoption. They're not looking at digital transformation, getting into digital. They've already got into it. They're looking at accelerating it. And that is where I think the whole investment in the last 3 to 6 months is our engagement. We did really well with our BFSI or banking segment. Again, in the industrial and distribution, it's obviously slowed down, and all of us know the manufacturing part of it. But we're there, we're engaged, we understand the need. We're getting to the part where we know that our industrial and distribution segment is going to look at more automation from the not just the IoT side, but the IIoT side, as well as the entire supply chain side of it. And therefore, the need to invest in technology is going to be higher. But FSS was definitely the shining star in terms of the current times. The essential services, or any client which was in essential services, obviously they were supported. Even the ones who were non-essentials were also supported. But the fact is, look, IBM has always had a work from home policy. We're used to people working from anywhere. So for us, it was much more comfortable in terms of getting our people to work remotely. It's a way of working for us, so it was much easier. The people who were on the ground were obviously the ones that were supporting in the data centers or live production environments that needed to go live. So those were the ones who were in front of the clients, and that is whether it was the financial sector or whether it is the telco sector. That was there. I think we actually tested our internal systems in March early, first or second week of March, where we actually did a stress test to say if all our employees were working from home in India, would it work, right? We did that early March. That was pretty early, right? Because the close down happened after that. So working from home was not something which was a challenge. We had more than 90% of our India engagement happening from home. The remaining who had to go out to the client places, whether, again, let me say, telco, or whether it was FSS or the other essential services, whether it was the I'll say oil and gas without referring to certain clients, or whether it was essential services in terms of Amul, and you've seen that story as well. We were there, right? But the critical factor, if you look at and you put manufacturing, so let me put telco and manufacturing together for you, and you talked about IT, OT as well, right? If you're really looking at where the business is going to be lying around or will be as we move forward, is going to be at the edge. Right now, the telcos are rolling out 5G, and we know that. Right now, what will 5G enable? It's definitely going to enable a speed which is much higher, right? So the throughput is going to be higher. It's going to be also be able to give you the number of devices being managed is going to be actually 10x the times, right? 10 times the number of devices that are being managed now will be managed because of the 5G. The latency part will also get affected. And when that get affected, a number of devices, which we call the IT OT devices, also therefore will be managed and monitored better. Now, when they manage and monitored better, you're not going to do it all remotely, right? So you will need to have edge computing or edge at the edge happening, and that's where the manufacturing segment comes in, right? Is devices that are at the edge. They need to be monitored. They need to be managed. The data needs to be collected. The data needs to be churned, analyzed, and cleansed. And at the same time, it needs to obviously give out insights which are critical for running the business. Now, that's all going to happen in the manufacturing segment as well. But the telco is the underlying 5G is going to to give it that bandwidth, right? And that's where the importance of what's going to happen in the manufacturing segmentation. That's where the supply chain will get affected. That's where the the RPA is already there, but the automation, the AI, the intelligence, all of it is going to come in there, and that's where we're seeing technology actually be impacted. So I'll bring it back. Is we always worked remotely. I think our working remotely helped us to deliver to our clients because we were so used to collaborating, working in a remote environment. Telcos were one of the critical customers to us that were essential services to the nation, and therefore, yes, services were up and running at all times, and we had people on site, but with all the right, as I would say, right governing laws around safety and security of not just the people around them, but our own employees as well. I would want to stress on that factor as well, right? Because we're putting our employees to go and service our clients, but we have to take care of their safety as well. I would put that in. And the third is the telcos rolling out 5G. As the 5G gets rolled out, is going to impact all industries. But I see the key benefit is going to come to the manufacturing industry is my point of view. The key thing is containerization, right? We're looking at Kubernetes, we're looking at containerization, and that's where the Red Hat OpenShift comes in. Has it helped? Yes, absolutely. Because the clients are looking at building their technical architecture differently. They're looking at building applications that are deployable everywhere, right? Build anywhere, everywhere. So that's where the entire Red Hat OpenShift comes in. So yes, it is making I think the clients are very mature enough to understand the need to be able to move from solutions that are just on-prem to being available anywhere, and that's what the Red Hat portfolio brings in. The other thing I am happy I don't know whether you're aware, is we have announced a general availability of the Red Hat marketplace, and this is a simple way to try by manage enterprise software with automated deployment to any cloud running Red Hat OpenShift, and that's something that I know a lot of our clients will benefit from, as well as our partners. So definitely the open stack, the openness, the security, at the same time building your applications anywhere and deploying them everywhere is the key to it. And IBM, obviously, the entire Cloud Pak portfolio has OpenShift, or as I would say, we've containerized our software. I don't really see too much of a disruption in terms of supply. The disruption that happened was more in terms of, and that's because we're working with obviously power and our storage solutions or Linux one. But I think the disruption that happened was in COVID times when you could not move material from one location to the other. The data centers were not available. The client teams were not available on site. And therefore, getting material that is already available in India to a particular location because of the pandemic situation was a challenge. But we have a large internal team that really works to ensure that we have material shipped. We are looking at how is it delivered, and I can tell you, we had calls 3 times or 4 times a day, depending on what was our commitment to our clients. And obviously the clients obviously also, I think, put equal effort in ensuring that that they had employees at the data center was open to deliver the material. But I would say, look, there were challenges, and that is because of the pandemic, and our clients or our partners were equally affected, right? You can't have material and it get delivered if there is no one there to accept it, or the trucks are not allowed to come in, come out, right? But we've not seen a disruption in our supply, and it's also because of our solutions. Our hardware, as you mentioned, is something that is pre-planned. We know what is required by when, and therefore it does take time to get delivered post our clients ordering it. Everyone knows it takes 4 to 6 weeks, and therefore you can anticipate the situation. But in the COVID time, that was a tougher one to manage in terms of the supply chain, I would say, in India, in terms of getting it from warehouse to distributor to the data centers or to the partners. I've not seen escalations based on that or challenges based on that, because it was something that all of us were facing it together. It was not OEM versus the ecosystem or clients, right? All of us were in it together, and I think it was for us to solve it together is the way I would put it. Okay. I would really look at it as from the front is to partners and CIOs is we are the time to to accelerate the digital transformation is now. Time to adopt AI is now, and it's time to scale AI. But more importantly, it's time to look at security as the touchstone for all of us, because the faster we accelerate our digital transformation through a hybrid cloud model with AI embedded in our business and technical processes, it is equally cognizant that we have to be equally cognizant that we look at security as an important aspect of what we're delivering, because it's going to really impact all of us. So I would say that's from the CIO side. For our partners, I would say build skills on technologies that are going to drive the next wave of growth for our customers, and therefore it's important to be skilled, because successful delivery is what keeps our customers coming back to us. Right? And the most important is focus on your employees is the other part, because they are your wealth.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.